We could probably have a lengthy discussion between the three of us about how to streamline wargaming, I feel.
Yeah, you'd make a game called Aegis Combining Robots.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You just make that.
We're having that conversation right now, Alex.
Good point.
First up on the show, we should probably actually talk about Aegis Second Ignition. So Breeze, tell me a little bit about, first of all, Aegis, and then what Second Ignition actually does.
So Aegis Combining Robots is the board game that my company, Zephyr Workshop, makes. It is a light skirmish game. It's like a 30-minute BattleTech, or like a really boiled down like War Machine or Warhammer, for people who always want to kind of get into that sort of game, but you know, the cost or the time commitment is like impenetrable.
Yeah.
So Aegis is that. It's a smaller version of that, but it gives you a lot of like content and playable dudes inside of one singular box, as opposed to being split out across like 5 million little expansions.
As someone who's played Warhammer, yeah.
Yeah. We don't sell you a new textbook every couple of months.
Thank
It's
God.
But
yeah,
the money. You could have made so much money on the add-on.
Yeah, right. But yeah, you have let's see, the basics of the game. You have a team of 5 robots. You fight against your opponent's team of 5 robots. You can go 2 to 6 players. There's 5 different kinds of robot: assault, evasive, guard, intel, and support. It spells Aegis. So you take your team of 5 robots and you fight. You can combine robots of different types together into bigger robots. So if you take your A guy and your E guy, you can put them together to make an AE guy, and then that robot would assault and evade. And same thing, you put like say 3 or 4, or even all 5 of your robots together to like, you know, make Voltron.
Perfect. Perfect.
There's 100 unique robots that come in each box, and so there's a billion different teams that you can do.
Wow.
And the new box also has a solo mode, and that's the spiel. So 1 to 6 players. Wow.
Oh,
Yeah.
very
And that's for Second Ignition, because I know, I think when I was talking to you at PAX, you said one of the big points for Second Ignition was the fact you could play it solo.
Yeah, definitely. It's one of the bigger, more hotly requested features that people had coming out of the first box, so we obliged. You can play the game whether you have other people or not. So that's pretty cool. It's like a boss battle mode where you have to defeat a big robot in a certain set number of turns. And that's like has like adjustable difficulty, and it doesn't add very many components at all. It's very well integrated and like into the core systems of the game. You choose any team that you want, like normal. You can build your own team or whatever. You choose a boss robot. You choose some minion robots for them, so you can actually customize the difficulty of the boss by choosing what robots they use, or you stick a pre-built team onto them, and then you fight against them on a board. Try to get its HP to 0, and all the bosses work differently. There's a couple different bosses and all that.
Oh, okay. One thing I'm always interested in when it comes to like solitary play is how the essentially your automated opponent functions. Like your giant robot, is there a set number of things that they're supposed to do on their turn that you know alternates through or something like that to determine that? Because if I'm a player and like the giant robot has 5 options for me, I'm gonna pick the easiest option for like.
Yeah.
Can I make the boss robot sit there and twiddle its thumbs, its robotic thumbs, waiting for me to do the next thing?
So what Nathan is saying is, if he's playing chess against himself, he's always going to move the knight into weird positions for the opponent.
Yeah, the knight's not even looking at the board anymore, just staring off into space, pretty much.
Yeah, that was a big consideration, because like we had never really designed a solo mode.
Sure.
But luckily I have a lot of designer friends and cohorts and bosses that are very adept at working with solo modes, so we were able to get a lot of really good input from them. So this is the way we did it's pretty cute. You have a boss robot, and then there's a little deck of cards. That's the only thing we really added into the game for the solo mode. A little deck of cards, and the cards are literally like a big A, a big E, a big G, a big I, and a big S, and there's 2 of each of those. So you flip over a card each round, it'll be like a big A, and that will tell the boss to use whichever of its 3 attacks has the A next to it, and then it will move all minion robots that are of the the A type, assault type, so that accounts for like single letter assault robots or even combined robots that are like an AES or something. So there's not a lot of like fiddling and thinking about what the boss is going to do on your part. It's like you can, at the start of a round, you flip over 3 of these cards and you know exactly what the boss is going to do and when throughout the round, and then you take turns back and forth fighting the boss, and when the boss has done all 3 of its actions, then you go to the next round and flip over 3 new cards, and then the boss also has some special attack cards that might come up that are cool. And then like the randomness part comes from like the boss still rolls dice to hit you, and the boss can also summon new minions and they pop into certain spots on the board, so that might be like a surprise attack too. But for the most part, you can plan pretty decently around what the boss is going to do, and you don't have to like is this moving here, is this attacking this, da 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 da. It's all we try to keep it all very clear what the AI actually does, so you can spend your time when you're playing the game playing the game instead of like making the game function, because it's like,
right,
I'd imagine one of the more tedious parts of us playing a solo mode would be, that's how it was when we were testing it early on too. It's like, how can we cut as many like fiddly parts, like any part where a player has to touch a component, how much of that can we cut back on, so you don't have to like micromanage what the game is doing to you.
Yeah, absolutely. Now when you get through the deck, you've gone through like the 2 cards and everything, is when I have no cards to draw, is that when I know that I've either succeeded or failed against the giant robot?
Yep.
Okay.
So that's basically, the deck has like 12 cards in it. There's 2 of each letter, and then every boss has 2 special attack cards. And once that deck is empty, you've lost. And you can do easy. An easy mode would be to reveal 2 cards per turn, then you have 6 rounds, or you can reveal 3 cards per turn, and you only have like 4 rounds, or you could even go even harder and reveal 4 cards per turn, then you only have 3 rounds to fight the boss. And that's where like the sort of the modular difficulty comes in.
I get you. Okay.
And so it's like a puzzle, like just trying to figure out how to wombo combo the best to like really defeat this boss in a certain number of moves.
Oh, sure. When it comes to picking like the minion robots for them, do I have to pick a certain number of each type, or like can I say, well, I'm just going to pick all assault types, and then it's going to really suck on almost every turn except when I pull an A, and then it's going to be awesome?
Yeah, you can. We encourage you to like customize and experiment with it with minion decks. Where each boss will have its own kind of list of minions to use specifically if you want to like do a quick setup, or you use one of the default teams that we give you in the box. And the box has like 10 default teams in it. You can just grab one of those, and it usually has like 5 or 6 or 7 basic robots and a couple combined robots, and you just shuffle it up, and then bam, you have a pre-built team that you're fighting against. But yeah, or you could just put 10 A robots in a pile and see how it works.
Yeah, that sounds ideal. Then you really don't have to think.
No, I want no thinking involved in this at all. So, when did the original Aegis come out?
End of 2018, early 2019.
Okay. So from that point to now, what was the process like realizing that you wanted to do Second Ignition, and what, besides like the single player experience, what other things were you looking to really change from the original to now?
Well, we actually started playtesting Second Ignition almost from the get-go.
Okay.
From when we shipped Aegis 1. We were starting the initial playtest. Aegis 1 had like a very storied development. It took like a long time to come out. Like it took like 6 years, and it was going through like 3 iterations of like a self-published version, a version that we made through another publisher, and then we just redid the whole thing. We did the Kickstarter, and we rebuilt the whole game again after the Kickstarter. It took 18 months to ship, and it's like, so one of our goals for Aegis 2 was to like build the game like correctly and with experience.
Oh, that's an idea. Novel.
So yeah, so instead of like, you know, being students coming out of college and really like tripping over ourselves for several years, we wanted to be professionals and trip over ourselves for several years.
Perfect.
And make a game that was like a little bit more like coherently planned from the start, and you know, and so yeah, it was actually going really good up until, you know, the pandemic hit, and then. But then we did a lot. We were doing a lot of really good testing and designing up until the pandemic, because we were taking it to all these shows at Aegis 2. And then we were doing like, in 2019, I went to like 15 conventions. And then COVID happened, and then we didn't like do nearly as much testing because we didn't go anywhere.
Right.
And then, but we did end up getting all the like the art and graphic design assets done. So it's like,
well, that's important too.
Yeah, so that's very important. So yeah, we did end up spending that time usefully, but I wish it didn't take as long as it did. I actually wanted, there was this pipe dream where I actually wanted to kickstart Aegis 2 around like early to mid 2020, but time makes a fool of us all.
Yes.
Yeah, especially when you're locked in your house for a year.
Going into Aegis 2, we wanted to like streamline some things, take words off of cards, make the fonts bigger, make the game easier to like generally set up and get into, because like we wanted to look at like the core tenets that we wanted to like accomplish with Aegis 1, which is a faster, easier to set up, lots of content war game thing, and we wanted to like kind of double down on those. So we wanted to make the cards simpler to look at and easier to absorb, and that was kind of like a main thing. So now a lot of the basic single letter robots in Aegis 1 had like 2 attacks and like a few passives. And Aegis 2, we really boiled that down, and a lot of the smaller robots just have the 1 attack and then like one passive sort of thing that they do. So it's easier to like grok the game when you're looking at the 5 cards in front of you. And then all the combined robots are, you know, where you get, you know, then they have all 2-letter robots have 2, and then all the 3-letter and bigger Voltron robots have 3 attacks, and they go a little bit more ham. But we wanted to make the game from the start, when you're looking at 5 cards in front of you for your smaller robots, to be easier to get into. And then we like, you know, then taking, you know, just looking at balance feedback. Aegis 1 is surprisingly balanced for having 100 robots in it. So we just looked at feedback from that still, and we like figure out what mechanics people liked. We double down on those. People hated how much output randomness is in the game on occasion. There are like a few like luck mitigation things in the game, where like certain characters will give you rerolls under like certain conditions. But we like really looked at Aegis 2 and thought, well, what mechanics can we put in to make the game like, you know, like make failing rolls feel less bad. So now we have like a few different mechanics and character abilities in Aegis 2 that like reward you for screwing up your attacks, so you can continue on. So even if you like miss your attack, you can continue on with your strategy, and you don't just get like hard stopped by rolling bad dice. So we put a lot of that in there. Then
the dice themselves, are those custom dice? Are they like based on the AEGIS, or are they like a 6-sided die?
They're actually they're all D6s. They're really nice looking D6s because they look like Jolly Ranchers, and they come in the 5 colors of the game. But yeah, they're just normal D6s.
Yes. Perfect. But wait, there's 5 letters and 5 colors, but there's 6 sides to the die. What madness is this?
Yeah, I know.
Happen?
Thematic mismatch. Cancel game.
No, we need to get a 6th category.
That's a miss, right?
Yeah, maybe. Oh, then it's ageism. It's and there's an M at the end for a miss, and it's ageism.
Yeah, ageism is the religion around
Yes.
playing Aegis.
Perfect, exactly. The lore gets deeper, Alex. The lore gets even deeper.
Yeah. I do like that you've streamlined a lot of the things that, like, with wargaming. As I said, I played years of Warhammer, and setup is one of the things that takes forever in Warhammer, or any other wargame, really. It's getting your army together, and then putting the table together, and then setting your army up on the table, and it's like, alright, well, I'm 2 hours into this game without even doing anything game-related.
Yeah.
And
then you're playing for 4 hours, and then you go, oh, it's actually bedtime, I'm gonna leave this here. Oh, the cat knocked the table over.
Yep. No, my roommate, another guy who helps with Aegis, he's a big Warhammer guy, and he'll just like on like a Saturday be like he'll leave at like 10 in the morning to go to the game store and be like, yeah, I have like 3 war games. I have 3 Warhammer games scheduled today. I'll be back at like 11 p.m.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, sounds great.
That's
and that is so much planning ahead of time too, because you
Oh,
don't go to a Warhammer game and then sit down and go, cool, time to figure out what my army is.
Yeah.
You go,
Yeah.
my army list is already together. This is my army, and it's not changing.
You have to schedule your games like a week ahead of time so your other person with their $1,000 army shows up at the same place at the same time. It's not like playing like pickup games of Magic or something. There's like
No, you just finding someone with your $1,000 deck of Magic cards is a lot easier.
Yeah. Maybe this is why I never got into Warhammer, and I could only play Magic, because I just brought my little deck with me, and I figured I was just going to be good to go. I couldn't like get this giant pack of my metal figurines that I had to hand paint and just like put over my. Did you have to carry them in a sack, Alex, when you were playing?
No, I mean, they have stuff to carry them. They make custom things, or you can figure out what you want. But yeah, it's a significant time investment for a war game typically. So having something that is a lot easier to pick up and go with that much ease is really nice. If that's like one of those experiences you enjoy, but you want it to just be something you can do.
Yeah, exactly. And like, yeah, and even in Aegis 1 even had like some custom terrain stuff that you could do with the board. In Aegis 2, we just have a new board with terrain already printed on it. It has 3 different arenas that you can fight on, so that's even faster set up. You don't even have to worry about figuring out where to place walls or the act of fishing for the pieces and putting them on the board and stuff. Now we just like trim that off. It's still compatible with the terrain pieces from the first box, but we decided to just streamline that harder. Just like take out the board, plop it on the table, get your cards, get your pieces, go.
I feel like if you wanted to go more than that, you have 3 boards, you could always offer like printable versions of extra boards if you wanted to, for instance, and it wouldn't be, I mean, you'd have to design those and have the art for them, but then you could not have production costs for that aside from the art, and then if people wanted it, you could have tons and tons.
Yeah, no, exactly, and like it's even pretty good for print and play too, because our like little new 2-player boards in Aegis 2 are literally like 2 8.5 by 11 sheets of paper, like basically the same size, so you can really just print them out on your printer and tape them together, and then you have a board.
There.
That's cool.
Well, that's good. Yeah, some print and play boards so that you can play in robot forests or something. I don't really know what the Robo Forest. I don't know. That sounds good. It could be like the Navi forest, and I can like jack into the plants and stuff like that. It'd be great. I need that. Anywho, so there's a thought process. But I was thinking though too, the idea of the Aegis, even though you have like 100 different robots that you can work with, it still feels like more than a Warhammer, which Alex, I'm not sure, but I'm thinking Warhammer actually has more than 100 different units.
Oh yeah,
probably. Yeah, definitely.
And you have.
There's definitely more than 100 different ways to outfit your units. So
right. I'm still thinking that in terms of a balancing issue, one of the reasons why you weren't having such a problem with Aegis is because everyone's kind of like working from the same basic, unit set. so it's a little bit easier to make sure that people don't suddenly get like the mega cannon guy who's going to come in and just blow people up. You can tell I haven't played Warhammer. I have no idea if that's a thing.
Warhammer, each army has their own rulebook. So you've got, and they come out in different time spans. So you've got 5th edition rules with a 4th edition codex, and then this person in the 5th edition codex, and you have to try and balance all those together.
This is why I haven't played it.
I
got way too lost way too quickly.
It's like trying to take D&D 5th edition and then all the splat books you have and trying to make sure they're all interoperable, even though you're playing with 3rd, 4th, and 5th edition all at once.
Perfect.
There you
Great.
go.
Yeah.
That's how I'm going to explain that so you might understand it.
Yeah.
It just has one dinky rule book, and all the robots feed off of the same rules. And the robots aren't customizable; they're just all weird and unique and different. But they also still fall under umbrellas, so a red robot is good at punching, and it's all we try to keep it very intuitive in the game.
Sure.
You see blue robot move good, green robot, lots of health.
Yeah, exactly. I appreciate you took like the wargaming thing that seems so incredibly complex and like leaves a question mark over my head, and you were like, could we make this way more streamlined and simplistic so that people like Nathan can understand
we could
it?
probably have a lengthy discussion between the three of us about how to streamline wargaming, I feel.
Yeah, you make a game called Aegis Combining Robots.
Exactly.
Yes,
You just
exactly.
make that.
We're having that conversation right now, Alex.
Good point.
Aegis has, you got the army building, you got the dice rolling. And that's really like the two kind of things that I felt were really core to the wargaming experience, aside from minis painting. But like in gameplay wise, it's just like, I want to customize my army, and I want to put them on a table, and I want to think tactically about moving, and I want to roll dice to make stuff blow up. And
Fair enough.
and that's which really tried to get those like key fundamentals into our game, and I think it worked.
Yeah.
Ideally.
Given that this is a 2nd edition of a game that you've already made, I think it's probably worked.
That's also important. I forgot to mention this. So Aegis 2nd Ignition is an entirely new game with 100 new robots in it. And they're cross-compatible. So it's not,
cool.
even though 2nd Ignition sounds like 2nd edition,
Right.
which is my amazing marketing skill. It is an entirely new standalone box. You can buy it. You don't have to own Aegis 1. It's actually Aegis 2 is probably easier. It's actually definitely easier to play for new players because
cool.
it's all nice and streamlined and stuff. But yeah, if you're definitely rewarded for owning both boxes though.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So very much like combining robots, I can combine my original Aegis and my Aegis 2nd Ignition and combine them into 2 boxes of 200 robots.
Correct.
I feel like there's a marketing thing here where with 2nd Ignition you can offer a double box sleeve. That's artwork.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
That way I can get 2nd Ignition and put it with that, put them side by side and have a sleeve over both, and it's like, yes, the box is combined.
By the time you get to like your 5th Ignition, you can make sure that each one of the boxes were like labeled as the A version, the E version, the G version. That way when you put them together on the shelf, they also spell out Aegis on the side. If you
Absolutely.
put all 5 of them together. There, and you've combined the 5 games into the one game.
That's the ideal, actually. Yeah. Maybe then we'll have like the Sentinels of the Multiverse, like refrigerator-sized box organizer thing to keep it all in. It'll be great.
Oh yeah, I remember when I had this big carrying case for all of my Hot Wheels, and all the little Hot Wheels could go into the individual slots and could carry like 100 of those. Yeah,
You can use those for Warhammer 2, Nate.
I bet you can. I bet you can. That was pretty great. I don't know where that is anymore, but anywho, so Breeze, tell me a little bit about the Kickstarter though. For Aegis.
We're launching on January 17th. It's a date that's been long in the making because I guess they dragged my feet all the way through this year. We're getting all sorts of stuff like finished up and all that.
Sure.
during and after, the last like 2 years. But like, we finally have pretty much all of our ducks in a row. The page is coming along fine. We have a video. We're shipping our prototypes around for like video reviewers and stuff. So January 17th, wanted to do it early this year. Wanted to do it in summer this year, then I wanted to do it in fall this year, and then all of a sudden it's November, and like I'm not going to launch a Kickstarter next to Christmas.
No, that sounds not ideal.
I'm smart. That said, my friend is launching a Kickstarter next to Christmas. He has his own tactical skirmishy thing called React: The Arts of War, and it's a cool anime fighting game. I thought I would plug him because he's going to need all the help he can get. So it's going to launch right next to PAX Unplugged.
Nice.
Good thinking.
Yeah, so that'd be cool. But yeah, we're waiting until January. So we're hard committed to this January 17th date now. The Kickstarter will be for a reprint of the first box, because we actually sold through pretty much the whole print run right when COVID started, so it was pretty well timed. Of course, then printing the new box too, Aegis Second Ignition. So we'll have it's going to have like 3 tiers. Like the first tier is get Aegis 2. Second tier is like get Aegis 2 plus a bunch of extras, and then there's going to be a third tier that's like give me everything, and you can get both Aegis boxes, 6-player mat, and all this other crap.
Sure. Step 3 profit. Right.
Step 3, just get everything we've ever made for Aegis. I wanted to keep it very simple.
All of it. All of it.
There's like extra dice scenario books and things like that.
Yeah, I think simple is great with a lot of Kickstarters, because when I look at a Kickstarter, I don't go, give me all the extra add-ons that'll make this take longer to get in my hands. I go, give me the game sooner than 2 years down the line, please.
Yeah, and luckily, because we've done so much work ahead of time on Aegis 2, we should be able to print the game very quickly after we kickstart.
Nice.
Because internally the goal is to have the game sellable for Gen Con that year, so that's like 7 months after. So we want to probably like put a bow on the game and ship it to the manufacturer by like February. So that'd be ideal. And we'll have the game shipped over for Gen Con. Everyone can get their games in their hands before the end of the year. No 18-month wait this time. That's the advantage of, we have all these templates and dies and molds and stuff all ready to go. Thank our manufacturer for saving them.
Yes.
No, we don't have to. We no longer have to go through and do what we did with the first box, and like take out the measuring tape and measure the insert like down to the smallest millimeter to make sure it accommodates sleeved cards. Everyone's very big on that, so we did that. But now it's pretty much just like, if all the art's done, we just ship it and it'll go.
Excellent.
And
Excellent. Do you have any ideas for stretch goals or anything else that you're planning on doing?
We're gonna do how we're gonna do the Kickstarter. We're gonna model it after what we did with our first one. We're gonna have like the goal pretty low, and we're gonna have like 50 robots unlocked from the start, and then as we hit goals, you'll unlock everything that is like the bells and whistles version of the box. Nice. By the time we hit I think it's like 50 or 60k, you'll have all so many robots and all these other little expansion-y thingies unlocked. But if the game flops and we only get like 300 people to back, then we can still ship a game that's still reasonably good and playable. But yeah. I have full faith that the goal is that I want like 100k. Ideally, 1,000 backers, 100k. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that.
Excellent.
Not because we need that money, but as a personal thing. I would like 1,000 backers and 100k.
Fair enough.
Because our first campaign looked like pee pee poo poo, and it was like we got like 600 backers and 52k. Sure. So hopefully, now that the game looks a lot better and we have an established audience, we should be able to get more than that.
Excellent.
Ideally, I don't know, but yeah,
excellent.
It's very exciting and scary.
Yes, as all new things are.
Yes. It's like when you try to combine robots. Anyway, I had no follow-up for that. I was just combining robots as a general concept.
It's true.
But what was I saying? Right.
I don't know.
So after the Kickstarter, do you have an idea of when those games are going to be able to ship out after the Kickstarter, on the assumption that it's successful and you're able to move ahead?
Yeah, hopefully by the end of summer. Hopefully we'll be able to start, depending on when it gets here. We, like I said, we want to have it sellable for Gen Con in August. If the games arrive before then, we can start fulfillment before then. And if the games arrive around that time, which I'm sure they will arrive right at the nose without a second to spare, that we will fulfill starting after Gen Con. But either way, they will be printed the next year, and you will have the game in your hand next year. I swear to God, because I do not want it to take very long to print and ship the game. So, like I said, we don't really have that much manufacturing work to do in terms of that, and all the art's done. So it should be fine. But knock on wood.
Yeah. Long-term goals, are you hoping one day maybe to have Aegis or Aegis Second Ignition on store shelves or available to buy online apart from the Kickstarter?
Oh yeah, we'll do. We're gonna have a backer kit after the Kickstarter. Then we'll be distributing again. You'll probably be able to find Aegis 2 on some store shelves. I know that Aegis started getting distributor. They actually started getting picked up by various board game distributors near the end of its print run, because I guess that's how long it took everybody to figure out the game existed.
Oh, sure.
So by the time we had 50 copies left in the warehouse, all of a sudden Alliance was like, "Yeah, we want all these cases," and we're like, "Please don't, no, give them back."
Yeah,
we need to sell those.
Right.
We can't give them to you.
I feel like this requires a call to the distributors beforehand. Be like, "Hey, this game is coming out. How many copies do you want?"
Yeah, now that we're a proven game that people like and understand, it'll probably be easier. When we ship the first time, it's like, Aegis what? What is this? Oh, another indie board game of the 4,000 that came out this year. So, but I think now we have a little bit more of a name for ourselves. I mean, you probably won't see our game in Target, but if you go to your local store and request our game, we'll probably be in the usual. There's only 5 distributors anyway, and hopefully we'll be in most of them.
Sure.
So what you're saying is, anyone listening to this, go to your local game store and request Aegis be sold there?
Yep. And actually though, yes, that's how we get games into stores. You have to go to stores and tell the owners about the game, and then they'll look it up on their distributor little ordery thingy.
Oh, gotcha.
And other than that, and then that's pretty much how it works. If you're normally board game store owners will go into their thing and they'll see solicitations for all the new games that came out, and they'll choose this, that, and this, and they'll probably choose your Ticket to Ride and Catan and these things that actually sell. Yeah. And they have to have context and know ahead of time what this game is and how they would be able to sell it and pitch it to their customers and stuff. So knowing that they have customers who know what it is and like it, and the game itself has a really easy pitch. It's just that there's a lot of games being sent to distribution per year. It's 2,500 or something last I checked.
A lot of games.
Yeah, a lot of games. So yeah, and I think we'll also have a retail pledge tier on our Kickstarter. We haven't finalized that yet, but it's likely that if your local store wants to help back us on Kickstarter, they can, and we'll have some goodies and a discount for them, I guess.
Very nice.
Just yeah.
Excellent. Well, looking forward to it, and hopefully you'll come back to when we're, actually in the Kickstarter, and we'll have either a really positive conversation or not so positive, depending on what happens, I guess.
I want to put it out there. I have 3 prototype copies of Aegis 2. Ooh. And I own the game. I've already accomplished everything. I have a copy of the game in my hand, so it's y'all's problem if you don't Fund the Kickstarter. I already got the game.
There you go. So you hear that? Breeze already won, everybody. It's your problem now. You figure it out.
So if it flops, you've got exclusive copies.
Yes.
It's true.
Yeah.
If it flops, the joke I was making ahead of the Kickstarter was like, I have 3 copies. I'll sell them for $20K a piece, and then we can print the other copies.
Yeah,
sell them through Sotheby's or something. Yeah, exactly. Exclusive copies signed by the author. You're going to be in great shape.